right, everyone. Welcome to the Udon Invitational League. I will be your host today. My name is Sam, aka Santa Flaws, and today we will be watching the battle between the OKC Thunderous and the Sacramento Sableye. First, we'll look at the Thunderous's team. They brought the Sceptile, the Victini, the Magierna, Hippowdon, Coffarigis, I think that's how you say this. Oh, whatever. And Cinchino. As we know from his picks, that is probably the Sceptile Mega, but we'll see as we go. Next, let's take a look at Sacramento's picks. First, let me actually switch sides for this. We have the Latios. We have the Metacham. We have the Doublade, Scizor, Vaporeon, and Komodo. All right, now that we've gone over the teams, let's go ahead and get into the battle. Honestly, it's really up to the teams who they run with first here. I am not entirely too knowledgeable about how they're going to play this out, so it'll be really interesting to see how they do this. So, as you can see, Thunderous starting with the Victini here, and Komodo from Sacramento. Ooh, the instant U-turn. No thought put into that whatsoever. Not a very big bit of damage, but I think that was probably a smart move on Thunderous's side. Victini, obviously not a mon he wants to lose early. Obviously, some big plays can be made with that. So I think keeping it safe might be the right move. And we'll see what he goes into here. From his perspective, I don't know. It's interesting. Oh, he chooses to go into the Hippowdon with the Sandstream. That does get Sacramento the free Stealth Rocks, though. So that might hurt a little bit later, especially with Victini being a fire type and stuff like that. But it's Battle of the Stealth Rocks. OKC gets their Stealth Rock off as well. The Vaporeon's an interesting pick here. If we just take a quick look, Hippowdon is 46 to 108 speed, and Vaporeon is 63 to 128 speed. So honestly, the speed could go either way depending on the EVs and IVs that these coaches have taken on their Pokemon. It also depends on the items. For all I know, Sacramento might have his Vaporeon scarfed. Moving into the Coffarigis here from Thunderous, but getting the free Toxic off on Vaporeon and its leftovers bringing its health back up to maximum. That's actually a really big play from Sacramento, I think. Toxic on Coffarigis obviously makes it so that its time here is limited. It's not going to sit here and do all types of crazy stuff. So it has 31 to 90 speed, though, which means that Vaporeon's going to outspeed it, pretty much. With the Shadow Ball, why does Vaporeon know Shadow Ball? The coach for Sacramento is insane. But as we can see here, the toxic damage coming out also onto the Vaporeon. I also appreciate a lot that the Shadow Ball definitely took the chunk out of Coffarigis' special defense. I'm sure the coach of Sacramento, excuse me. I'm sure the coach of Sacramento would have liked that on a mon that wasn't about to die, but nevertheless, it's nice to have a little bit of luck. So we're moving into the next one here. Vaporeon with the Wish, very interesting move. Coffarigis feigning here. We'll switch sides again just to see a little bit of the other team's perspective. Actually, I didn't even notice at first. That was a shiny Coffarigis. Bring out the Victini again. Not sure how I feel about that. Throwing out a fire type onto Stealth Rocks, and then also throwing out a fire type into a Vaporeon. Okay. That's not what I was expecting at all. Good move from the OKC Thunderous. I guess, imagine that. He knows his Pokemon better than I do. He is their coach after all. It'll be interesting to see what Sacramento does here. Victini is a very, very scary mon, and it doesn't have that toxic poison. I'm sure Sacramento's coach would have loved to have gotten that off before it passed. Rest its soul. But we'll see what he does here. He has a few options. It really depends on sort of what kind of damage he wants to do. If he wants to try to stall this out, if he wants to try to, maybe do some damage, maybe try to outspeed the Victini. The Victini does have a maximum of 167 speed right now, though, so it could be a little risky. Then again, he does have Latios, which is a very, very fast Pokemon, so it really depends. Electing to go with the Medicham here. If I'm not mistaken, Medicham is fast on its own, but Sacramento actually drafted the Mega Medicham, so I would bet money that is the Mega Medicham right there. And I believe Mega Medicham's speed is pretty darn high. Yep, there it is. The Fake Out. Very, very good move there, bringing the Victini down to 58%. Even if before it might not have been able to one-hit the Victini, now I'm sure it probably can, because Mega Medicham has Pure Power, which is ridiculous. Its ability is Pure Power, which, if I'm not mistaken, doubles its attack. I may be wrong about that. In fact, whoa. Okay, going with the U-turn here. That was a whole big chain of events that I completely missed. The Psycho Cut didn't do a ton of damage, did some chip damage, and then the Victini went with the U-turn, electing to throw in the Magierna. Let's switch sides here just to get another change of perspective. So the Magierna, very good pick on the part of Thundurus. I know a lot of us were very shook when he picked this. So the Steel Fairy Magierna into the Bug Steel Scizor. A good switch out, I think, on Sacramento's part going into the Scizor. I believe this is actually a speed tie if they both have maxed out speed, because as you can see here, Scizor has 63 to 128, and Magierna has 63 to 128 as well. So this really could go either way. That obviously depends on what items they have. Sacramento may have scarfed his Scizor. Then again, Thundurus may have scarfed his Magierna. It really depends on what the coaches were thinking in the team building phase. So we're moving right along here. Each team, I believe, has lost one Pokemon. The Victini is down to 38% on the side of the Thundurus. And then, as far as I understand, Scizor actually has the most damage on the part of the Sacramento Sableye. Going for the knockoff there, bringing down the Sceptile to 48% with the damage from Stealth Rock. I'm curious. Yep, there is the Mega Sceptile as we expected. Bullet Punch doing some good damage, but Hidden Power destroying the Scizor. And out comes the Doublade. This will be an interesting pick. We knew it would be the Mega Sceptile, but you hate to see it's brought so low so quickly. As we know, Stealth Rocks does damage to it, so if he switches it out and switches it back in, it's going to be even lower. But the Shadow Sneak is all it takes from the Sacramento Sableye. That's another Mon down, so now they each have 4 Mons left. The Thundurus have Victini, which is at about 38%, Magierna, which has taken a little bit of damage, Hippowdon, and Cinccino. Now, the Hippowdon's an interesting threat here because it has that Sandstream damage, which could add more chip damage onto Sacramento's Mons. But, and there, as we see, the Hippowdon comes out in the Sandstream just as I predicted. So we'll see what happens here. The Doublade was actually a very interesting pick. Sacramento talked to me about the Doublade pick before beginning, and he switches it out right as I'm about to talk about it. But that's fine. That was actually a super smooth switch-in from the Sacramento Sableye. Completely dodging the Earthquake, basically making Hippowdon switch-in worthless into his Latios named Malaysia. Moving on. The Ice Beam comes out from the Sacramento Sableye, not doing too much damage actually, and the Toxic down onto Malaysian Airlines here. Honestly, I don't know about that trade. That hurts for Sacramento, I think, more than it hurts for the Hippowdon and the Thundurus. Latios is a really big pick, I think, and Toxic Poison on it just hurts. Also, the Sandstorm hurts every turn, so that's even more chip damage out from the Hippowdon. Really, this Hippowdon is a dangerous pick that, oh my goodness, this man has slack off. Hippowdon is everything you don't want to see in a Pokemon battle right now. It has stall, it has chip damage, it has healing. All we need it to have now is some dumb priority move, and it's everything you hate. Or maybe something to the effect of Light Screen or anything like that. Oh no, its last move is Earthquake, actually. That works too. I totally forgot it used that. Yeah, absolutely. Stealth Rock, Earthquake, Toxic, and Slack Off. On top of the Sandstream, and it also having leftovers. So out comes the Komodo from the Sacramento Sableye. There is yet another Slack Off. This is interesting here because Komodo is a fighting type, so you don't quite know if it can do any significant damage to the Hippowdon. The problem is, does OKC decide to use a Toxic here on the Komodo and risk dying, because I would guarantee that Komodo outspeeds Hippowdon, or does he go for the Slack Off? Back into the Latios here. A good switch-in, I think. Once again, using the Latios to dodge that Earthquake. But we know that Ice Beam doesn't do too much damage from the Latios. So we're going to see what Sacramento does here. I think that, honestly... Actually, you know, now the more that I think about it... Ooh, the Energy Ball coming out. Oh, another special defense chip from Sacramento. He is a lucky man today. I don't know what OKC does here. Does he switch out and then switch the Hippowdon back in for Sandstream damage? I don't know. It obviously also has less special defense now. So maybe he wants to switch it out to get rid of that, because that could hurt if another Ice Beam comes in, and even especially if Ice Beam crits. So we'll have to see what Sacramento does here. Going for another Energy Ball. OKC obviously here playing the waiting game. As many heals and as many... I believe it has leftovers. Yes, it does have leftovers. Excuse me. As many heals and leftover procs as it can possibly get off. I don't know about the questionable Toxic there. The questionable Toxic coming out from OKC, but I guess it didn't really matter. I might have used the Slack Off again. Then again, no, it's definitely not out of PP. I didn't know how many it had. Don't quite know about the Toxic there, but maybe that was 200 IQ play. Maybe he expected the switch out, which I imagine, now that I'm thinking more about it, is probably what he was going for. So back out comes the Komodo. We'll switch sides here. Sacramento's got the Komodo out. It's fighting type. I would imagine he kills Hippowdon here with a fighting type move against ground, unless I'm an idiot and I don't know typing. As you can see down here, the coach of the OKC trying to see what Komodo is weak to. So we'll see what happens. There it is. Okay, so the Hippowdon is finally taken out. That was a big threat from OKC taken down. And now the Pokemon are evened out. It seemed like that Hippowdon was really doing some big damage and doing some things, but honestly, it didn't accomplish, I don't think, nearly as much as the Thundurus wanted it to accomplish. Let's switch sides here to see what he does with this Magikarp. A very interesting pick. I was super interested in what the Thundurus wanted to do with this pick. Obviously, Steel Fairy, an extremely good typing. Going into Komodo, which is Dragon Fighting. Fairy being super effective against Dragon. We don't quite know what the Komodo, or excuse me, what the Sacramento Sableye are going to do here. Does he... I think he switches out. I don't think there's really any other option here for him, but that just may be me. Maybe he has some spicy plays readied up for us today. I'm curious that we haven't seen the Victini, but then again, now that I look back, Victini does take 25% damage from those Stealth Rocks, and switching into the Victini instead of, you know, pulling it out when another mod goes down is really dangerous. Because Victini takes any hit after it takes another 25% from rocks, and it's probably dead. Switching into the Doublade, the big predict from OKC, the big predict with that Shadow Ball. That Shadow Ball did good damage to the Doublade. Seeing what's going to happen here with the Shadow Sneak, and the Doublade goes down. We knew that Magikarp was going to be a big challenge, and Soul Heart buffing its special attack. What does Sacramento do here? We'll switch sides to see what he's thinking. So his Doublade has just gone down. He has two Pokemon left, Medicham Mega and Komodo. How does he respond to what Thundurus has left? And honestly, how does he respond to the Cinccino, not knowing what that has? He hasn't seen it at all yet. Doesn't know any of its moves. Doesn't know what sort of Thundurus has planned for it. The Magiarna put in some big work right there, taking out the Doublade. But on the other hand, Medicham Mega is a pretty disgusting mon. I believe Sacramento picked it in OU, if I'm not mistaken. And if it's not OU, what is it doing in UU? So the high jump kick, ooh, oh my goodness. I know that the coach of Sacramento was so worried throwing out that high jump kick, so terrified it was going to miss. But now, honestly, I think Sacramento's in a winning position. That Victini is going to take big damage when it switches out into those Stealth Rocks. The Medicham has the opportunity, if it outspeeds the Victini, to do something big. But here's the Cinccino. Here is, the unknown factor. What does Thundurus do here? What does he have on this Cinccino? An interesting pick, I think. It has both Technician and Skill Link abilities, so it could be anything. And we're going to have to see, who wins this speed battle, because I don't think this displays Medicham Mega's actual speed. But as you can see here, Cinccino has up to 183 speed. So it really depends on the items and the EVs and IVs that he has on this Cinccino. Obviously both, okay, so whoa, the Psycho Cut doing big damage. I don't know if I went for the knockoff there. I was sort of expecting a fake out from the Cinccino, to be honest, but I guess not. Technician fake out's a pretty good move, but maybe Thundurus has a different gambit in his mind. The Psycho Cut did big damage though, and I can only imagine that he just goes for another Psycho Cut here, or maybe even, yep, there's the next Psycho Cut, and from the way it looks to me, I think that may be the game, folks, but we're going to have to see. Oh, that hurts. That hurts so bad. I don't remember if Medich... Oh, it is a speed tie. It is a speed tie between these two mons. This could be the game right here, my friends. This could be the game. Now, I don't know what Victini does with Komodo, but it is Psychic type, and Komodo is fighting. What happens here? What goes down? We will find out. Both teams obviously locked in very, very heated thought. Throwing out the Komodo. What do we see here? Zen headbutt. Ooh. I told you this would come down to this. I knew it. It's such a... I'm so excited. I'm losing the words to say. This is so close. This could be anything. What happens here? Does the Medicham take the win? Does the Victini take the win? What happens here? Or does the Medicham have fake out? The Medicham does have yep, there it is. It's nothing but exciting here. What a game from each side. OKC Thundurus versus the Sacramento Sableye, coming down to the last mon from each side, coming down to one fake out. I think the biggest plays in that game obviously go to the Magiarna, taking out the Doublade with the double Shadow Ball. That was such a big move. The Medicham, though, destroying the Cinccino with those two Psycho Cuts was a very big play. And obviously, Sacramento here making the right play, looking 3 steps ahead, decides, you know what? I'm going to switch into my Komodo, let it die, get the free switch back into the Medicham, and then using the fake out to seal the deal. What a game, folks. Anyway, I am your host, Santa Flaws, also known as Sam, and I hope that you have enjoyed this video. Stay tuned to this YouTube channel to find all the battles in the Udon Invitational League, and I hope that you all have a wonderful day. Thanks for watching.
We can make a wildfire get away.